Today we're playing another free mini case by Unsolved Case Files. Victim, Catherine Fox. On November 23, 2000, best-selling author Catherine Fox was found strangled to death at Crooked Cottage, home of the late award-winning mystery writer Agnes Kristof. Miss Fox, formerly a live-in nurse for Agnes Kristof, was being blackmailed by one of Mrs. Kristof's 3 grown grandchildren and was asked to meet the blackmailer at the cottage at midnight. Investigators were never able to pinpoint which one of them killed Miss Fox. Your job is to solve a mystery by finding conclusive evidence that proves which one of Mrs. Kristof's grandchildren was a murderer. Now we can download the case file, which I already did, and organize it a little bit, so let's begin. All right, here are the files. I ordered it a little bit differently from the PDF, but we'll just go through it one by one. Starting with this. So, your objective, prove who killed Catherine Fox. When you think you know who killed Catherine Fox and can prove it, visit this webpage to verify your solution. And here's a picture of her while she was still alive. Next, just another picture that was on the site. This is November 24, 9:13 a.m. She has shiny earrings. I don't know, what else do you guys see? Oh, duh. Looks like some marks around her neck. All right, I guess we'll see some report later. Okay, we have a newspaper clipping. Murder mystery author mysteriously murdered. We have a picture of Charlotte Jane Marple, who also made a statement. We have the 3 grandchildren, I'm assuming. Edgar Kristof, Alfred Kristof, Gina Chesterton. We have a letter, Dear Detective Bradbury, from Catherine Fox. Interesting, if you're reading this, that means I have been murdered. It's like she was expecting it. We have some ransom letter, classic newspaper clippings, and then we have 3 POI reports. All right, let's go back to that newspaper clipping. Murder mystery author mysteriously murdered. Best-selling author Catherine Fox, most famous for her critically acclaimed novel The English Professor's Last Words, is dead. She was found strangled to death in the early morning hours of November 23rd at Crooked Cottage, the former home of the late queen of the murder mystery, Agnes Kristof. Sources reveal that Miss Fox was being blackmailed, and Detective R.D. Bradbury of the Lansbury Police Department believes the blackmail ties directly into her murder. He confirmed that there are 3 suspects he's speaking with. Information on who the suspects are or why she is being blackmailed is being kept under wraps at this time as part of the police investigation. Several years ago, Miss Fox was the former live-in nurse for Agnes Kristof. It has often been remarked how much Catherine Fox's writing style mimics that of her late employer. In a recent interview on the subject, Miss Fox stated, "During Agnes's last years, she and I became very close. As I provided her with round-the-clock healthcare and companionship, she taught me everything I know about writing. I will be eternally grateful for her influence on my career." This must be Agnes Kristof. The murder took place at Crooked Cottage, a former home of late murder mystery writer Agnes Kristof. So we have Charlotte Jane Marple, who gave a statement. "I've been Miss Fox's publisher these past 7 years, and we've become like family. Yesterday, she brought an envelope to my office and matter-of-factly told me that in the event of her death, I was to hand it over to Detective R.D. Bradbury of the Lansbury Police. I was shocked and asked what she was talking about." So yesterday, and this is the 23rd, so the day before. She said one of Agnes Kristof's grandchildren was blackmailing her, but she refused to get into specifics. She was to meet the blackmailer at midnight at Crooked Cottage, where Mrs. Kristof had spent her last remaining years. I told her to call the police, but she wouldn't hear of it. She was adamant she needed to go alone and made me promise to stay far away from there. Then she left to get the money she needed from the bank. I was worried about Catherine, so there was no way I wasn't going. I just wish I got there in time to do something. Just as I arrived at the cottage, I saw a dark figure fleeing out the side door and into the woods. At first I thought it was Catherine, but once I crept up to the cottage and looked in the window, I saw her lifeless body on the floor. Terrified for my own life, I ran back to my car, locked the doors, and called the police. I can't believe she's gone. She taught me everything I know about writing, and because of her influence, I just finished my first novel, which I'll be dedicating to her in her memory. Charlotte Jane Marple. Okay, let's take some notes here. So she saw a dark figure fleeing out the side door. Not sure what else really sticks out, but we'll keep going. Here's that letter that she left behind. Dear Detective Bradbury, if you're reading this letter, it means I have been murdered. One of these 3 people is responsible for my death. Edgar, Alfred, or Gina. Allow me to explain. Several years ago, I was a live-in nurse to Agnes Kristoff, the world-famous murder mystery writer. I can honestly say I owe my career to her, quite literally because the book which brought me fame and fortune as an author, The English Professor's Last Words, was not actually written by me. It was written by her. You see, Agnes died before she could publish it. She had become a very private person in her last years and didn't even let her publisher know she'd been working on something new. I was by her side day and night while she created her final masterpiece. Agnes bounced ideas off me, many of which she used in the story. She said I had a knack and should try my hand at writing sometime. Her only living relatives were her 3 grandchildren, who never once took the time to come see her, yet had no problem taking the time to cash the checks she sent them each month. Her health severely declined toward the end of 1992, and I honestly think she was only holding on to finish the book. She passed away in her sleep the morning after writing the last chapter on July 17, 1993. I mourned her greatly as she'd become like a mother to me. When I informed her grandchildren, instead of grief in their voices, I heard jubilation. Instead of asking when the funeral was, they wanted to know when the will would be read. I couldn't let them cash in on her final masterpiece, so I packed up my things along with the manuscript and left. I later submitted the manuscript to a publisher under my own name, and the rest is history. I mean, she's not any better. Flash forward to present day. Apparently Agnes made a copy of the English Professor's Last Words I never knew about, and one of the 3 greedy grandchildren found it. They sent me the enclosed blackmail letter threatening to expose me unless I paid $500,000. I fear for my life, but couldn't risk coming to you first as I knew my career would be ruined if word got out. Since you are reading this, I must have made the wrong decision. Please do everything you can to find out who blackmailed me. Agnes would not have wanted one of the grandchildren to profit from my death. I only hope she forgave me for profiting from hers. Yours truly, Catherine Fox. Wow. All right, so we got our motive there. Let's read this ransom note.
I found a copy of my grandmother's last book and can prove you stole it. Meet me at Cricket Cottage at midnight tonight with $500,000 in unmarked bills. Come alone, or all your fans will find out you are a fraud.
All right, now we have our 3 persons of interests. Let's start with Edgar. Name, Edgar Allen Kristoff. Marital status, widowed. Scars, marks, tattoos, raven left shoulder. Sorry if it's a little blurry. Must be just the quality when I imported it. Prior arrests, DUI. Do you own a firearm? Yes, but I don't believe it was a gunshot. Employer, Lee's Funeral Homes. He works as an undertaker, and he owns 2 cars, okay? I was at Lee's funeral home at midnight on November 23rd. This year's flu killed several of the town's elderly, and we were having 3 funerals the next day, so I was working late preparing bodies. I went into this business because the people who prepared grandmother's body did a horrid job. I wanted to spare people's loved ones from seeing what we saw. Okay, individuals who can confirm whereabouts, I was working alone. Okay. Not corroborated. So that was Edgar. Next, let's go to Alfred. Alfred Hector Kristoff, alias Hitch, V-shaped scar, left hand. Wrestling, owns a firearm. Employer, the Brenner Zoo. Ornithologist, what is that? A person who studies or is an expert on birds. Owns a Ford Thunderbird. At midnight on November 23rd, I was fast asleep and probably dreaming about the new Burke's parrot we just got in at the zoo. I have a habit of always dreaming about the zoo's new bird species the night after they arrive. Also, I haven't been to grandmother's cottage in years. Also no corroboration. Finally, we have Gina Chesterton. Gina Kathleen Chesterton, Gina Kristoff. Birthmark on neck, no firearm, no martial arts. Lansbury High School, English teacher. At midnight on the night in question, I was still up correcting my students' papers for my short stories class. Of course, they all know who Miss Chesterton's grandmother was, so they try their best to impress me by writing murder mysteries. However, most of their stories are so bad they just end up killing their grades instead. How sad. Also, no one can confirm Okay, the first thing that comes to mind is what day of the week is it? It's 11/23/2000. It's a Thursday. Oh wait, isn't that right before Thanksgiving? Oh, it is Thanksgiving. I guess you can still be correcting papers. Most high schools have the whole week off, don't they? So far, nothing's really sticking out to me. Enhance. Okay, I wanted to do this so that I can rotate it and see if I can tell what this is. This kind of looks like a thumb, but it wouldn't be that way. Is this supposed to be like some tool or some rope or something? And then someone's occupation, they have access to a tool? Or is this just someone's hand? I don't know. They don't give you a lot. So Edgar, we got dominant hand left, Alfred dominant hand right, and Gina dominant hand right. If it comes down to which hand or something, Edgar is left, the only one who's left-handed. So how to do with this letter? Let's look at it carefully. I mean, this is not really supposed to be here. All your fans will find out you are a fraud. Just because there's a grammar error, can we rule out the teacher? I mean, she teaches English, so she would know not to use that apostrophe. So even though there's less documents, I feel like there's less info to go off of. It's interesting that there's no autopsy. Another thing I guess that stood out is that Edgar and Alfred both own firearms, and Gina does not. Does that mean if they had a firearm, they would have just used that instead? Not necessarily, but I'm like really grasping at straws now. Okay, birthmark on neck. I mean, there's nothing, nobody saw anything. Another thing too is it said a dark figure, and I mean, he's wearing dark colors, but I don't think that has anything to do with it. Just that it was late and it was dark outside. Because if we focus on Edgar, it's not unlikely that he would be working on Thanksgiving. The one who actually would not be working, or I don't know why she would be working, is the teacher. Would the zoo be open on Thanksgiving? I think I need a hint, and I think I have to put in some answers first. So, who killed Catherine Fox? Can you prove which grandchild blackmailed Catherine Fox? Prove it below to solve the case. What two documents can best prove the identity of the murderer? If I were to take a wild guess, I would say this crime scene photo. I don't know. I'm just gonna guess. Well, it would be one of these, right? I'm just gonna put Edgar for now, or at least just put his document. Okay, sorry, those are not the documents we're looking for. Don't give up, bring justice and convict the murderer. Want the hint? Yes. Figure out who wrote that blackmail note and you'll crack the case. Oh, okay. So what, was I onto something with this? Like, this is not correct. All right, let's read this one more time. I found a copy of my grandmother's last book and can prove you stole it. Meet me at Crooked Cottage at midnight tonight. With $500,000 in unmarked bills. Oh, I mean, they didn't have to include that either. Come alone or all your fans. Oh, so maybe I'm just gonna look for someone who uses this incorrectly. And the only writing we have from them is these statements. He is using it correctly. Incorrectly, sorry. We're having 3 funerals the next day. Preparing bodies, loved ones. I mean, let's check the other 2. See, habit, zoos, new, that's correct. Grandmother's cottage is correct. I doubt the English teacher would make that mistake. Students' papers, yes. It's Chesterson's grandmother. Okay, so I kind of noticed that, right? And I think that is it. Let's go with these 2. Edgar, who could be the dark figure, because he's wearing all dark colors, and his dark long hair and a dark brooding face, but we're gonna go with these two. So still Edgar's, but now we need the ransom note. All right, ready? Yes! You solved the case. The blackmail note writer uses apostrophes incorrectly. Grandmother's last should be grandmother's last. Your fans should be your fans. Unmarked bills should be unmarked bills. All right. Oh yeah, and you left out some too. Let's watch this.
Tonight's top story, a cold case murder from nearly 2 decades ago has finally been solved. Edgar Kristoff, a grandson of murder mystery writer Agnes Kristoff, has confessed to murdering Catherine Fox on November 3, 2000. According to police, a private investigator tipped them off to a similarity between the writings of Mr. Kristoff and a blackmail note written to the victim the day she was murdered. We'll have more on this story as it develops.
All right, that was the free mini case of Catherine Fox by Unsolved Case Files. I know not too long ago they released a full case, the Sandra Ivy case, but I feel like I just want to give some time for you guys to be able to play it before I play it here, because obviously when I do, there's tons of spoilers. I might go back and play some of the older full cases. Someone recommended Jamie Banks. I know there's the Harmony Ashcroft, which was the first one, but in the meantime, if you haven't already, you can go check out some of the other cases we've played. And if you like murder mysteries and you enjoy our content and want to show us some support, go ahead and give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and hope to see you in the next one.